I've had an incident lately. Let me turn off the TV first. I've been in an incident recently, and I won't go into the details of what that incident was. But it involves the U.S. state of Maryland. And I was in a conversation with a Marylander, a Marylandian, a Marylandese, about the origin of the name of Maryland. I'm Commander Radix. I run a series called Commander Radix's American History, and right now we are knee-deep into the colonial era. England hasn't even become the Kingdom of Great Britain yet, where I'm at in the story of America right now. A very early American history, and in fact, I think Maryland got established, like the most recent episode I've released of my American History series. And I'm in this conversation, and I think, I know where Maryland, the name from Maryland, comes from. It was a Catholic colony. I think it was the first proprietary colony, I think. Not like a private colony run by an individual that wasn't the king. It was made by the Lord of Baltimore, and it was a Catholic colony during a time where it wasn't a good day to be a Catholic in England. So some Catholics left England and went and established Maryland. Now, I assumed, not just assumed, I could have sworn I've read it somewhere, that it was named after Queen Mary of England. The Catholic monarch that was, a little bit anti-Protestant, you might say. So much so that when she was replaced, or when she was succeeded by Elizabeth I and the following Anglican kings and queens, that there was a sense of anti-Catholicism in England. But the Catholics might still look back at Queen Mary and think of those being the good old days of England. And if you're going to create a Catholic English colony to take refuge from mainland England, why not name it after the last Catholic monarch? So I could have sworn it was named after Queen Mary. It's not. It's named after a queen consort, but it was named after a queen consort named Henrietta Maria. A completely different queen, not the Queen Mary that I thought it was. And I brought that up in conversation, so confident that I was right, that it was going to be Queen Mary. And it wasn't Queen Mary, and the Marylander pointed that out, And this Marylander isn't exactly the most, but he's a very direct person. He says, no, that's wrong. Just when I thought I was right, he just comes up with, no, that's wrong, and then informs me about Henrietta Maria. Now, I'm now in a pickle, and I was thinking about this incident and how it relates to a lot of how I make content on this channel, and that is the fear of not knowing, the fear of being incorrect. My channel is mostly two different types of content. Transformers lore videos and history videos. Which is a very weird range of topics, but whatever. Now with Transformers lore, it's a little bit more straightforward than human history. It's, for one, there actually isn't that much to Transformers lore when you consider the wealth of sources, the plethora of sources that are available for human history. So I don't have to go through that many sources to do research for a Transformers lore video. I'm very confident with my knowledge of Transformers lore, and that's why throughout the years of me doing this Transformers lore series, I've only had to release 3 corrections episodes. But history is a little bit of a different story. I love history. I'm constantly researching history. I'm constantly learning something new about history. But there comes a point where I'm very afraid to make history videos sometimes. The reason being, there's always going to be some person in the comment section that points out something that I didn't realize and points out something that I said that was wrong. which hurts when I could spend like days on research, sometimes months doing research for a history video. And I spend, that's just research alone. We're not talking about the scripting and the editing and the recording and all of that. Just the research, just reading through the source material and trying to create that story. And when you do all that and put in all this effort only to be pointed out that something you got was wrong, it kind of hurts. Especially if it's something that, let's say I'm vaguely interested in something like, say, the Mamluks of Egypt. I'm kind of interested in the Mamluks, and I do a little video on that. But there's going to be some pan-Turkic guy who is like real deep lore into the Mamluks, and is going to point out everything I missed and everything I got incorrect, which is fair, I should preface this by saying that there is most of the times I get comments in a history video saying I did something wrong. It's the comment that is wrong. I don't know why, but my Bannister Tarleton video constantly gets misinformation in its comments that I delete. People telling me that stuff happened in a different place when I've been to the place it took place at. I don't know what's up with that Bannister Tarleton video. It constantly gets views. It's probably one of my most successful history videos, but it gets weird comments from time to time. Besides that, sometimes, on other videos there are legitimate points to be made. And, it's kind of... I have this YouTube channel, and I want to make videos on topics that I find interesting. And it just so happens that the type of videos I make are meant to be, sort of academic, if that's the right word, educational in some way, shape, or form. And sometimes I'm not the best source to talk about something educationally. Which leads me to a loop of, I really want to make a video about this. But what if I get something wrong? Maybe I'm not the best person to make a video about that. Well, what if I want to make a video about this? I like this. But what if I get something wrong? It's a constant cycle of that story with my history content, I feel like. This book right here, The Religion of the Apostles, Orthodox Christianity in the First Century, by Stephen DeYoung. It is a brilliant work. It is an excellent work. I think it's a must-read. It's a great book. And with this book, I understood a lot. Basically, all my questions about Christianity was answered in this book. All the obscure lore, some metaphysical stuff. A lot of explanations of what exactly is Satan, what exactly is Lucifer, I don't even know how to describe it. It's a great book, and it causes me to have a lot of interest in some Christianity topics. Here's the problem. If I say, I'm interested in Christianity, I like Christianity, I like studying about it, I want to make videos about that. Here's the problem. I didn't exactly grow up going to church. I wouldn't consider myself to have been really brought up in that much of a Christian environment. Not an anti-religious or not even really an atheistic environment, but it just wasn't the environment that other people have had with Christianity. That's a lot more, from my perspective, maybe hardcore or gung-ho. So much so that they remember these specific passages, they remember these specific rites that you say in these specific funerals and these specific ceremonies, and I have none of that knowledge. And it's gone to the point where, there are known unknowns and unknown unknowns, and with Christianity I have a lot of not just known unknowns, but unknown unknowns in that batch as well. So, if I think, I want to make a video about this concept in Christianity, and then I make it, but then you have to remember that there are millions of people here for which this subject matter is literally their religion, and it's like, if I get something wrong, it's not going to be good. I've wanted to make a video on the sort of narrative of Genesis for a while, but I'm just afraid. Now, the silver lining in this, and the words of wisdom that I've heard that basically help me to keep going, is there's a wonderful book called The Landscape of History or something like that. It's a book about historiography and how historians write history, written by a historian who I believe has written for Oxford or something like that. And I think he wrote like a history of the Cold War, the author did. There's a chapter in there that marks that basically when you're writing history, your point is to get the story, the narrative, the events, the story you want to tell out there. And the fact of the matter is, you will never have all the information. There's a full chapter, I think, that goes in on how it's impossible to have the totality of all information possible, and that you are bound to make mistakes. And the through line of it all is just do your best, basically, but understand that you are human and you will fail to some degree. Just learn from your mistakes and keep going. That was basically the key point of the chapter. And I thought that was like really good advice for, history, the field of history. Because the fact of the matter is, when you're telling a narrative, when you're telling a story from the past, you weren't there. You think I was there on Plymouth? I was there watching the Puritans unload their ships? No, I wasn't. Nobody alive today was. But we have sources that were. It's just there's a lot of sources, a lot of primary sources, a lot of secondary sources. A lot of primary sources are still buried in the ground that no one's seen before, right? They're still excavating things at Jamestown, for example. And so you will never have that complete totality. And even then, do you really want that? The book goes into talking about how, the historian's job is in many ways better than a time machine. Because if you got a time machine and took yourself to medieval Europe, immediately you would have to deal with things like plagues. You'd be limited by your own perspective, what you see with your own eyes in the environment. And yeah, you would get to experience it firsthand, but there's a difference in experiencing something firsthand and really understanding the historical account, right? They're two separate things. The benefit of a historian's job is that you get to look at multiple perspectives. You get to pause the simulation. You get to look at it from different angles. A very inspiring book, The Landscape of History. The next episode of Commander Radix's American History involves America in the English Civil War, and I think I've mostly written it out. In fact, I think I've written it all out. It's just, I think the episode after that is getting a little bit complicated, I think. I can feel the information creep starting to set in. Look at the first 3 episodes where we basically only had to look at 2 regions, Virginia and New England. But as time goes on, America's getting to be a bigger country in this series. And, when I'm looking at all the small little colony level politics of Virginia and Connecticut, when we're expanding this, what do I do in, the Civil Rights era? Do I look at every incident I can find from every single state that's relevant to the Civil Rights era? That's a little bit much, don't you think? That's a challenge that I'm thinking about as I continue with Commander Radix's American History. How I have a very small, scale right now. I'm, taking a magnifying glass to everything in the time period right now, but as time goes on, that's going to be harder to do. I don't know, I just wanted to share with you guys. I don't know what the point of this video was. I guess it was just to vent. Just to talk about some issues that I've had. This isn't a scripted video, obviously. This is very much off the cuff, just commentating on a phenomenon I've noticed in my own creativity lately. And lately I wanted to make another history video on something that's not part of a series, another standalone history video. But the Maryland incident has got me thinking of, oh no, what if I don't research enough? What if I get one thing wrong, right? That being said, the most recent standalone history video I've done was the Ancient North Siberian episode, and I got a lot of great comments on that video, and I am very happy about that. People complimented the parts of the video that I was hoping would be complimented, that I put a lot of work into. I wrote that whole creative scenario in the first part of the video, and people said that was good. That brought the Ancient North Siberians to life for them, and I am very happy about that. So I guess that's what I need to realize, that sometimes I'll make mistakes, and that's okay. I was so confident that Maryland was named after Queen Mary, though. Thanks for listening to this random rant I made at 10 o'clock p.m. This has been an experiment in energy because lately I've been feeling like work has started back up again, and I'm feeling tired after work, so I'm trying different techniques to try to have more energy to make videos. And I think right now I'm at the stage where after work at around 10 p.m. I'll have enough energy to make a video like this off the cuff commentating and ranting. Still don't have the energy to write a script or research anything at this time of day. But yeah, I'm still trying to figure out how this will work. Anyway, how are you guys? Are you guys good? That's great. See you next time.